The world's largest iceberg, known as A23a, is now rapidly breaking apart into several massive pieces, according to scientists from the British Antarctic Survey, BAS. This dramatic disintegration marks a significant moment in the iceberg's long and closely monitored journey. But here's where it gets controversial. What does this mean for our understanding of climate change and its impact on Antarctica? Originally, A23a was a colossal giant, weighing nearly 1 trillion metric tons, about 1.1 trillion tons, and covering an area of 3,672 square kilometers, 1,418 square miles, making it slightly larger than the entire state of Rhode Island. Since it calved off from the Filchner-Ronne ice shelf in Antarctica back in 1986, scientists have been tracking its movements and changes with great interest. Over the decades, A23a has frequently held the title of the largest iceberg in the world. However, it has occasionally been overtaken by other enormous but short-lived icebergs, such as A68 in 2017 and A76 in 2021. These titans of ice capture global attention whenever they appear, but A23a's longevity and size have made it particularly noteworthy. Andrew Myers, an oceanographer at BAS, shared with CNN that the iceberg is now breaking apart quickly, shedding very large chunks that are themselves classified as large icebergs by the U.S. National Ice Center, which monitors these massive ice formations. The iceberg, once a megaberg, has now shrunk to roughly 1,700 square kilometers, 656 square miles, about the size of Greater London. For more than 30 years, A23a remained grounded on the seabed of Antarctica's Weddell Sea. It likely stayed stuck until it had melted or broken down enough to free itself from the ocean floor. In 2020, ocean currents finally carried it away, but it soon became trapped again in what's called a Taylor column, a spinning vortex of water created when currents hit an underwater mountain. This phenomenon kept the iceberg in place until it started moving again last December. In March of this year, it ran aground on a continental shelf but floated free once more in May. Myers explained the forces behind the iceberg's breakup. Since May, after it floated free from the continental shelf, A23a has been following a powerful current known as the Southern Antarctic Circumpolar Current Front, SACCF. This current moves anti-clockwise around South Georgia, a remote British overseas territory in the southern Atlantic Ocean. The SACCF is expected to carry the iceberg and its fragments northeastward, continuing along what is often called Iceberg Alley. Interestingly, A23a's fate mirrors that of other massive icebergs like A68 and A76, which also broke apart near South Georgia. However, A23a has remained intact longer than either of those giants, raising questions about what factors influence the longevity of these icebergs. With A23a breaking up, the title of the world's largest iceberg now belongs to D15a, which covers about 3,000 square kilometers, 1,158 square miles. According to Myers, D15a is relatively stable, resting near the Australian Davis Research Station on the Antarctic coast. Currently, A23a is still the second largest iceberg globally, but this is expected to change rapidly as it continues to fragment over the coming weeks. Warmer water temperatures and the arrival of the southern spring are accelerating its breakup, likely resulting in pieces too small to track effectively. It's important to understand that iceberg calving, the process of ice breaking off from glaciers or ice shelves, is a natural phenomenon. However, there aren't enough data on these megabergs to determine if their frequency is increasing due to global warming. What scientists do know is that Antarctic ice shelves have lost trillions of tons of ice in recent decades, largely because of rising ocean temperatures and shifting currents, both linked to human-driven climate change. This warming is causing alarming transformations in Antarctica, with potentially catastrophic consequences for global sea levels. The melting of ice shelves and the calving of massive icebergs like A23a contribute to this risk, making it a critical area of study. Scientists aboard the BAS Polar Research Vessel, the RRS Sir David Attenborough, visited A23a while it was grounded on the South Georgia Shelf. They collected samples that have recently been returned to the UK for detailed analysis. A BAS spokesperson told CNN that the iceberg's grounding and the massive release of cold freshwater likely had a significant impact on the seabed organisms and the surrounding marine ecosystem. This raises an important question. As global warming potentially increases the frequency of large icebergs near South Georgia, how will these changes affect local wildlife and ocean health? Understanding these impacts is crucial for predicting future ecological shifts. So, what do you think? Is the breakup of A23a just a natural part of the Antarctic cycle, or is it a clear sign of accelerating climate change? Could these massive icebergs become more common, and what might that mean for our planet? Share your thoughts and join the conversation below, because this is a story that's far from over.